All right, so welcome to my first podcast of 2018. This is Scott Engler, published author and thought leader on contemporary job search strategies and really helping you land the job that you really want. And utilizing LinkedIn, I have a lot of different podcasts focused on using that as a primary vehicle, as still, to date, about 95% of recruiters are there looking for top talent. So, one of my goals for 2018 is to pay close attention to the posts that I do that seem to get a lot of traction with job seekers, and then create other types of content in the form of articles and podcasts about it. So that being said, this was a post that I wrote last week, and it got a lot of really good traction and responses on the Career Premium group of LinkedIn, and it was about everything you need to be successful in your job search is already within you. So that's what we're going to talk about today in this podcast. Now, before I get into this, definitely would love to have more subscribers. I know I get people reaching out to me about my articles a lot, but I am having more and more people that are enjoying my podcasts. This year, my plan is to have more industry leaders on some of my podcasts sort of later in the year. But I highly recommend you subscribe to me, and you'll see that down below on the YouTube. Okay, so that being said, what I want to talk about is the fact that when people work with me, they are usually focused outward, right? Something's going wrong in their job search, something's going wrong with their company. A lot of times they're in a toxic work environment, and everything's outside of them, right? These external challenges. Scott, I'm submitting all these online job applications and not hearing back. Or, a lot of times it's like, well, I'm hearing back, but I'm not getting the right opportunities. And I hear the same stories over and over and over again. So, the first thing I express to them is that those methods are outdated of the online job applications. And the reason that they're not attracting aligned opportunities because they haven't gone within and effectively drawn out what they're really wanting. And because they're not communicating clearly, they're not aligning and attracting the opportunities that they really want. So here's the good news. Everything you need to be successful in your job search is already within you. It's not going to be within you at some point. It's there. The challenge for all of us is that we change, right? Our needs change at different times in our lives, and it's pretty much, in my opinion, insurmountable to do this alone. And the process is to draw out of you what you're wanting at this stage in your career. So, for example, a lot of clients I work with are seasoned, and they have been in their career for 20 years, sometimes 30 years, and they're at a different life stage, in addition to maybe a different stage in what they want to do for their career. Maybe they want to change industries or even roles sometimes. But a lot of times, even if they want to keep the same role, they're 55 years old, they have a family, and they don't want to travel as much. That's a great example, right? And so their needs have changed. They're not, wanting to be on the road as much anymore. They're kind of enjoying being with their family. Their life priorities have changed, and what maybe what they their capacity is or their desires are have shifted, right? So that's really important, right? So when they're looking for work, to understand that and to kind of align that into their search and what kind of opportunities they want is a really big deal, right? Because even if they got a job at the role they wanted and the salary was comparable and whatnot, but they're on the road all the time, they're going to be miserable if that's really not connecting with them at that stage in their life. So that's just one example. And what I want to share is, I'm very much a realist in some ways, and I understand that not everybody's at a place where they could hire a professional like myself or some other professional career coach to help draw these things that are already inside of them. But, it does help to have the skill. I've been working with people one-on-one for close to 15 years now. And so there is a skill plus a talent that I've developed over that time where that facilitation is very effective consistently, and it's very powerful to experience. And while I might not be able to fix your car for you because that's not a skill set that I have or a natural talent. This I can do. And even if you couldn't work with someone like me, because I understand that I only have a capacity for how many people I could work with, but also I understand it's not always, someone's, maybe it doesn't financially make sense. My recommendation and point to you today is you need to find somebody to help draw this out of you. Preferably somebody that knows you well and has a gift of coaching and listening. So again, something is better than nothing. And while my personal opinion and based on a lot of experience and research shows that working with someone that actually understands this industry and area and the marketplace and has taken people through it for years and a lot of people through it is going to be, getting you the maximum results. Getting really good results is better than, trying to do it on your own. So my recommendation would be is to find somebody that you trust and respect that could help draw this out of you for this stage in your life and could, maybe ask the right questions to help you get clear. And, that's my recommendation. I highly recommend, especially if it's not a professional, to be proactive, to make it easier for them to help you. Maybe write down everything you can come up with at this stage in your life. And what I found is when I do the extra footwork myself, it makes it easier for people to help me. So that would be my recommendation. So that's the realignment, right? And that's going within. And again, the good news is that is something that's within you, and it just needs to be brought out in the right light. The second one is a reconnection. So 95% of the time when I start working with a client, they're all about this new job they want to get, or this CEO they want to reach out to, or this person, or this, or this, or this area. And what's interesting and paradoxical is that it's very often their own connections that they've developed over the years. Again, I work primarily with executives and people that have been in their industry or career for a long time. So they've established a lot of credibility over that time. And what happens is when they make that reconnection, right? A lot of times sometimes they're a little resistant to this. They're like, oh, I already know everybody I know in my network. Or sometimes they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Whatever their first, reaction is to it, without exception, people always find when they start reconnecting with even people from their college or grad school or their MBA program or professors or clients, there's something magical that happens with that. When they start adding people to their LinkedIn that they haven't thought about or spoken to in years, realize sometimes some of those people are doing something different now that has something to do with what they're wanting. That's a really, really powerful thing that happens with my clients. And what is so powerful about it is not only that reconnection that happens with them, but those are the people that know you. They know what you're capable of. They know your competency. They've worked with you in a work environment before. And like I tell people, even your best friends, like my best friends don't know what I'm like to work with because they've never worked with me before. So while they might know, they could attest to my character and some aspects of my personality, they really don't have as much of a understanding of how I work. And while people that you've worked with, clients, people that were on your team, people that were your employees, whatever, understand how you are in the workplace. And that's why it's such a powerful method to start out with, is that reconnection. And what people often find is once they start that reconnection process, getting recommendations, having coffee with people, opportunities inevitably start to present themselves. And then, as they're doing that, what happens is that morphine where, they get in touch with new people or they start seeing companies. But what I find is the first step is that reconnection is a much, much more effective first step. 80% of jobs are gotten as a result of networking, and who better to get a network with than people that already know how you work, and ideally the people that love how you work and believe in you. So that's what I got today. I did want to mention that January and February are the two biggest hiring months of the year. And January is already a third of the way over. Now, hopefully you're realistic enough to understand that You're not going to land your dream job in a week. It's a process. But my point is when I talk to people and they're like, oh, I'm just going to keep kind of plugging away at it, and even if it takes me longer than whatever, like, look, the average amount of time it's taken people is 7 months to find a job in the U.S. And one of the reasons I believe for that is people are using outdated methods. And so if you're working with an expert in this specific area, you're going to get better results a lot quicker. And again, January and February are the biggest hiring months of the year. So, I think at this point it makes no sense to keep trying to do something that's not, it's like someone said last week, it's like walking through the mud with, irons on your legs. It's like you might be getting somewhere, but it's really, really slow. So that's what I want to put out there. If you are an executive, I've been working with a lot of COOs, CMOs, VPs of sales and marketing, senior project managers, director of business development, director of operations. I'd highly encourage you, reach out to me, helping you optimize your LinkedIn and standing out in the midst of all the other all-star executives that are also looking for jobs. Let's get started. You could reach out to me by sending me an email with the heading Serious Inquiry. I do get a lot of messages on there. So again, if you are serious about this and you're wanting to get started, that's the best method of contact. I will put that in the information box below. Other than that, remember, the path to experiencing different results begins with asking different questions and taking different actions one step at a time.